Hey guys, welcome back. EryxUK here for my next instalment of my gaming update. What have I been doing over the last month, games wise? I'll jump in with the roleplay stuff first. The Friday night game, I mentioned it before, where we've now got 7 players, has actually gone along quite nicely. It hasn't been as bad as I thought. I still think there's too many players. But we have had a good time with it, and it hasn't detracted from the game. The GM is getting a lot better. He's still got a few, I don't know, for me are minor gribbles. Basically for low level characters we're getting far too much cash, magic items that we shouldn't be getting for a while. But you know, different GM, different style of doing things. It hasn't overbalanced anything so far, but I am a little concerned by it. But we're having a good laugh with it, so I can't grumble. The 2 Sunday night games are going well. My game has been phenomenal. I've really enjoyed it. Everyone has kind of like knuckled down. Going back to basics has worked really, really well. This last week, though, last fortnight since our last game, I've been rather lax, and other things have come along that kind of got in the way of writing the next scenario. So I'm going to probably end up having to wing it a little bit this Sunday. But we'll see. I mean, they still have a fair bit to do, which will probably take half an evening, I guess, and then they'll level. So it all depends. But as I say, the guys got really into it, and not having to worry about huge overarching plots and what have you has gone down really well. And I feel better for it. It means I can focus on the game itself as opposed to trying to keep loads of stuff in check. My friend's game, who's doing the other week, is alright. Sorry, that was my phone. This past Sunday, we kind of came away from it a little bit. It wasn't a bad game, but I don't think any of us were quite in the mood or in the right frame of mind for it. And in fact, one of the players came away with something I'm going to do another video on in a few minutes after I finish this one, which is the 15-minute work day or adventuring day, because we pretty much entered a new cave dungeon system, and we got 2 fights, and that was it. Even though we're 4th level characters, we burnt through, the spellcasters burnt through their spells. The fighter types were really badly hurt. We almost lost one of the party, and all we fought against was a displacer beast in one room, and a pair of Durgar in another. And pardon me, it proved to be a little bit too tough. And so essentially we had a 15-minute working day before we ended up having to hide in the dungeon and rest. So yeah, that game's been going along alright, but this last week was a bit rum. Hopefully next time we'll be more awake and more in the mood. Pardon me again. Warhammer wise, we're almost towards the end of the 40k league. We've had another player drop out because of the birth of his new child, which is fine, you know. I'm finding myself getting a little bit bored now, I'll be honest. It was nice that we had so many players, but it has drawn out a little bit, maybe too long. But there aren't many games left, and pretty much I think the winner has already been decided. The other thing for me for 40k is I'm very much a casual player. I'm not a hardcore player, and because of the nature of this league, the players have been playing a little tougher than perhaps they normally would, and it has kind of put me off a little bit. There are a couple of guys that I still get a good game out of and really enjoy playing, but otherwise I'm kind of feeling a little bit burnt out on 40k a little bit. which is why I'm kind of glad that when this league finishes, the Warhammer League starts up, the fantasy one, and I'll be able to take a bit of a break from it. There's also all the rumours floating around about 6th edition 40k, which, quite frankly, I don't believe in, because I think it's somebody's wish listing to make it more like Warhammer Fantasy. But it's kind of irking me a little bit, to put it polite. And it's kind of dampening my enthusiasm for the game a little bit. Other than that, I've got rid of all my magic cards now. I have finally decided that I'm fed up of the game. It basically came about because, again, I'm not a competitive player. I like to play for fun. And the only deck I've got that I particularly like is a sliver deck, or had rather, which wasn't phenomenal. It took ages to build up, so it wasn't going to try and decimate people. But every single game it gets played, it gets jumped on by everybody. Because we normally play like 3 or 4 player games, and that's it. It doesn't matter where someone is on the table, whether they're my target, my predator as it were to my right, or someone cross table. I just get jumped by everything, and it really has destroyed the enjoyment of playing for me. Not to mention that the game is so overpowered now that I really have just lost it. The game was fantastic up until the late 90s, and now it's just meh. So I got rid of that, and instead everyone's, which I'm quite pleased about, everyone's jumped on board and got back into HeroClix again with the release of the Avengers set and the Avengers movie. I started running monthly tournaments for this. We had one on Sunday, which was rather good. One of our guys down there, I mean, we're all Marvel fans. We're not, we don't really have any big DC following. We're all pretty much Marvel fans, and one of the guys, because of that, he seems to have this problem with playing mixed or playing against DC. So what I've had to do is basically come up with scenarios and basically put them into a game world. So I've come up with this basic idea that something has happened to the multiverse and various realities have converged together to create a new version of Earth 616, which is the Marvel comic universe. So not only do you now have Manhattan with things going on, you've also got Metropolis further up the coast and Gotham, wherever that happens to be. And this way we can combine the stuff, and it at least makes sense from a story point of view. The first scenario was a 500 point, must have minimum of 5 characters, and basically the idea is that all these worlds are collided, and now there's superheroes and supervillains kind of just appearing out of the woodwork who weren't there before, really confused, and the carnage starts. It went really, really well. We had 6 players all in all. I think we've got 7, but one of them couldn't make it. I decided to go for an Avengers team in the end. I went for a Captain America, Iron Man, Hawkeye, a SHIELD agent, a nurse, because I like the nurse. And since I don't have a giant man, I roped in Colossal Boy as my giant equivalent. And first game I stomped, I didn't lose a single character and beat my opponent hands down, and the rest of the game, rest of the tournament just went terrible for me and I got completely crushed. But I came 4th, so I'm happy. The next scenario for a month's time is basically going back to World War II. Something happened to help Hydra and the Germans, and so we're doing a 300 point, only characters with a past keyword, which basically means you're not going to get a lot of superpowered characters. It's going to be a lot of soldiers and so on. But this is what I plan to do with the tournaments on that, is kind of, rather than try and come up with something wiggy like you've got a bomb and it's got to be defused and the other player's got to stop you, which doesn't really work for a tournament game, I'm going to try and base it off of keywords and such, so that teams have to be cycled and changed and people play figures they might not otherwise play. But for the moment, that's kind of where my last 4 weeks of gaming have gone. It's been good. The role playing's been good. As I say, the EryxUK's has really taken off, and I've jumped back into it with both feet. Getting rid of magic feels almost like a weight off my shoulders as well. Let's hope the next 4 weeks of gaming are just as good. Until next time, take care, good gaming.